Hey fam, welcome back to another episode of I'm Telling You.
Telling you.
Dude, you got it this time. Good job, little buddy. Yeah, this is Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
Fact checker extraordinaire. She's see, there's like 3 second pause now. It's like all up in it before you even get there.
She's excited, man. She's happy
excited
to be on the show.
I'm excited to be here at the show. And if you're excited to listen to us, you should reach out to us.
You should at directionsofmusic.org.
Yeah, ITY. That's it. 3 little letters. ITY. And then also, yeah, there's Gemini at directionsofmusic.org, and then there's Philly D at directionsofmusic.org. So if you want to get a hold of one of us or all of us, yeah, because even if
directionsofmusic.org.
Yeah, if you have something you want to throw at Miss JD, that's you can hit the ITY one as well. We'll one of us will get back to you. I promise you that. First time listeners, this is a 30-year friendship of 2 jackasses on a spiritual journey through this thing we call life.
Okay, Prince. I got you.
Is it 1999? Because I really want to party. Yeah. We also do like dad
Dearly
quotes.
beloved.
Dad, I did it again. Dad quotes. Movie quotes. Dad jokes. But at this point, they are dad quotes because we're like quoting ourselves, and we are dads, and we do quote our dads as well.
Wait, yeah, dad quotes and movie jokes. That's what you said.
Yeah, I mean, we do that with. Yeah, that was the last time. Oh, I do. Well, hey, we're allowed to do that. It's we're here for hilarity as well as intellect, which at times is pretty funny.
Intellect.
Input. Johnny 5-1 input.
Intellect.
What are you, Elliot?
Sounds so funny when you say it.
When I say it, are you making fun of me? Is
no,
this what's
when I
going
say
on
it in
here?
my head, it's all in my head.
Everything's all in your head.
Get out of my head. Why is everyone in my head?
Well, doesn't that go back to our hologram conversation?
It totally does. Everything kind of goes back to that.
Projecting and all that good stuff. I mean, think about that, man. Like if your life was actually the holodeck, and it's like everybody is allowed for their holodecks to kind of like interact as they do. So it's just like one really big holodeck that everybody gets to use as we go in and out of it. Like, because dude, I was thinking about this. Like, all right, so like when we die and then we supposedly come back, but we have no memory of when it was. Like, so we don't remember our past life, right? What if we were a bit of information or programming or something that basically was deleted, wiped clean, and then reprogrammed or repurposed for something else, which would explain the whole like reincarnation thing, where it's like you can come back as, a butterfly or a dog or, a freaking tree or a human or whatever the deal is.
Yeah, man.
All I keep thinking of is like a VHS tape that keeps getting recorded over, like continuously.
Right. So think about that. If you get rewritten so many times, eventually wouldn't some of that like information like kind of come to the surface? It would start to like ghost through in a sense. You would think that it would like bleed into it. And that's when you start to get people that can have these like past life recognition or like memories or whatever, because it's
attached to the mind, which is a funny thing because does the mind exist in the brain? There's a good argument right there for you.
Well, so you're speaking of the mind as a theoretical idea as opposed to
your thinking mind, your
consciousness,
conscious mind.
Okay.
Does that exist in a place within your, the confines of your skull, or does it exist before and after that?
Well, see, to me, like, all right, so a butterfly is just a vessel. A tree is just a vessel. A human being is just a vessel. Once you put a consciousness in it, now all of a sudden you have an actual functioning being. So there was already this entity that existed, but it's on a completely different plane than what it is that this world or realm is, which is why it's kind of like that whole, holographic idea or like video game idea that we're in a simulation, because our consciousness is being inputted into a vessel. And every time that life cycle of that vessel is done, our consciousness gets pulled out as data, wiped clean, and then shoved back into something else.
It's interesting when Hindu holy men are basically knocking on death's door and people ask them questions about it. They're like, I'm not dying. I'm dropping this body. Is the way they look at it. I'm dropping this body.
Well, yeah.
I'll be back.
Yeah, this is just a thing that I'm in. My consciousness is driving a car called a human being.
Right. And you, like you were saying, what could it be driving tomorrow, or what did it drive yesterday? If you think about a lifetime as a day, I guess.
Well, so that's why, to me, further supports the idea that we are in a possible experiment, because there's this, if we were our own consciousness and we were fully aware of transcending and like removing ourselves from this life form and then going into another body, whether it's, a dog, a butterfly, a bird, a tree, whatever. If we were choosing to do that, wouldn't we most likely be taking these memories or information that we already have with us?
No.
Why not?
There's a number of reasons, and a lot of them revolve around free will actually working. Because you're not meant to have the answers at your fingertips. You're supposed to work for it.
Yeah, but if you've already earned it in another life, why don't you get to take that with you?
And there are still, there are people that seem to intrinsically understand this. That's why I love the term old soul. Like, you can meet somebody who's, they might not be street smart, but they have a lot of knowledge when it comes to other individuals. And I guess that is kind of street smart in a way, isn't it? But, yeah. Your turn. What?
Well, but this is my thing, is like, if we are in this computer generated experiment, then as each one of our life forms or vessels has, again, gone through its life cycle, we would not be considered a consciousness. We would be considered a collection of data or information that gives us the perception of what we would be as that energy or entity. So to me, the fact that you don't recall your information supports the idea that we're basically a disk of data that's being wiped and repurposed for a program.
I guess. You're trying to understand some of these concepts, like just as simple as to say the concept of timelessness. Like you can't truly wrap your head around it unless you're there.
You mean the absence of like time and space, like?
Right.
Yeah, we don't know what that existence is. We can only speculate, right? That's what you're saying.
Well, and there's no way to scientifically categorize and quantify what that is, what that experience is. Like, is it chemical reaction? Is it electromagnetic? Is it spirit? Is that where it all starts? Like, where does it all start? That's why I was saying the mind versus brain question. Like, does the mind exist within the brain only, or does it extend beyond that?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is like your consciousness is...
Science proves it extends beyond it.
Science is starting to prove, yeah.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, is like your consciousness is not like a singular thing. It's an actual collection. That's why I'm like, it's, to me, lifetime after lifetime, you should be able to have access to that, or, already be aware of. Like, there should be some sort of comfort or, like, to me, it would almost be like if, as you're doing something new, there's something within it that feels comfortable or familiar to you, but you can't quite explain it. It's ineffable.
Deja vu.
Well, to me, even like deja vu is a possibility, because then it's like, hey, I've been here before almost. So it's like, because, in the Matrix, they describe it as like fixing the system. It's like a glitch because they went back and changed something, but...
Well, in science would say that's when your brain kind of hiccups and something goes into long-term memory before it's recalled. So you experience something and it gets recalled, but instead it swung around and dropped itself off in long-term stay, checked into the hotel, and then came back and said, oh, by the way, I'm here. And then you went, wait a minute, that seems really familiar. That's how doctors explain it.
Yeah, that's definitely one interpretation of, well, I've heard that one before.
That's how you quantify and explain it away. Sometimes it takes out all the mystery.
Well, I mean, that goes to the idea of when we can explain what it is, we're no longer fearful of it because we only are fearful of what we don't know or understand. So when we can classify it or put a name on it, now all of a sudden there's a level of comfort because we know what it is.
You've had experiences, because I know we've talked about this before, like you've had experiences where you had like a chain of what do they call it? Synchronicity. And there is kind of an overwhelming feeling all about that experience that it's very it's very similar to that, to that experience of like, oh, I've already had this before. Like, how did this, I've dreamt this moment before, or I've lived this moment before. I remember this. Well, is it a hiccup, or is it you going, hey, by the way, this is important?
Well, that goes back to what's his name, Dr. Dispenza. Where it's like your future self tapping you on the shoulder, right?
Right. Does that not give you the chills, or?
But isn't that totally possible?
Sure. Why not? If time is irrelevant, if time is not really a thing. Is time a thing?
My belief is that like later on in your future existence, you would start to be able to perceive things on a different level because you've been doing it for so long that now your mind can really start to wrap itself around these different constructs or, ideologies that really break a lot of the rules that we were used to. So I would assume that you should have the ability to like bend time, as it were, and do like the butterfly effect where you can go back in memory and just insert yourself and, ding, 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 tap on the shoulder and be like, brah, get your shit together.
I mean, I've always been a fan of the what if. Yeah, I'm over here tangling myself up. I've always been a fan of the what if ever since I was a small child. Like thinking outside of the box and never really accepting things at face value. So although that's right up my alley, I've never been able to. I have a very logical mind and I want to quantify things.
Do you think that comes from landing on your head as much as you've done?
I do not know. I really can't speak to that. Because even if I made a determination, it would be made within this head that I've already did plenty of damage to. But it does call into question that, though. Does my mind exist outside of my brain? And we've already said that science is starting to prove that it does. But there are things that, one of the tests that were done was like some kind of blind phone call test. Like you have no idea who's going to call you, but like somehow there's a pretty decent degree of accuracy with the people that are actually kind of in the feeling of it.
A bunch of wavy lines.
That basically can predict who's going to call them. Like they get a feeling before it happens. Like I don't know.
Is it a square?
But yet again, I always wonder, like, how do they get these numbers? How do they quantify it? How do they, I don't know. But it's always intriguing to me.
I mean, we have enough computing power now that we can probably.
But this was the same thing we were talking about before, like the mother that instinctually knows that her child is in danger. We'll suddenly get a phone call, or that there's some kind of a connection.
Well, so that's like the thing
beyond the physical body.
Yeah. So that to me, that goes to that thing of like it's all information. Like it's all information, it's all data, and because we're in this realm that could be described as a computer program. For all intents and purposes, not to say that it actually is, but
and we're all like little walking, talking Wi-Fi hotspots.
Well, we're all bits of information that, as it comes together, it generates this no matter what. So it's basically taking so say a hacker builds a computer and then writes a program that basically is the set of instructions to start everything that it builds everything else. the whole sense of like a meteor with biology of some sort crashing on this planet, going into the ocean, and then all of a sudden life is born. Well, what if it's, you know, because there's a blank slate and then somebody just writes a program? Well, boom, here you go. That's the start of the whole universe, the Big Bang. Somebody pressed enter after they wrote a program and put it into a system to see if it would work.
Sorry, I'm stuck on the meteors crashing on early Earth.
Well, it's the same thing, but instead of it being...
We wouldn't have life as we know it at all if it wasn't for that happening.
Well, correct. So instead of thinking of it as all stuff as being biological, let's think of it as we are just data or representations within a computing system. So we're just a part of a program. So we're a representation of information or data. So if everything is able to be perceived in that fashion, as things change, it's because there's just different data that moves things around. And we, as like having that conscious, you know, awareness, we can project, meaning that we can modify the programming around us. And it's all just like data lines. Like it's all just, you know, I mean, it's invisible.
Being able to see through the matrix you're talking about.
Well, in a sense, yeah, because it's all invisible particles. I mean, we're all just a bunch of molecules vibrating so that we can resonate to create these solidified things, whether it's a rock or a human being or a car or... So why can't, you know, to me, it's like, was it a string theory, right? Like, why can't all that stuff be on its own, like, lines and abilities? Like, just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Right, like magnetism. I mean, it's the same thing. And we all agree that that exists, but we can't see it.
I mean, I'm attracted to you. Grr.
We see its effects. We can measure its effects. But,
it's live effects.
You can't see it.
It's effects. It's your live effects. Somebody had to do it.
Always you.
No, it's not always me. Sometimes it's you.
Maybe.
So yeah, I the more and more that I've been thinking about this whole hologram, we're in this computer program basically, which could just be an experiment for all we know, or it could just be a complete.
So you were saying a series of actually, you know, really super intelligent scientists have come to the conclusion more and more that this is more possible than we originally thought.
Well, it's not even like possible, but it's becoming more and more like highly probable.
That it's accurate and true.
Yeah, that we live in a construct that could be, but see, here's the thing with it.
What you're not defining, it's not like you're talking about another entity is toying with us, because I don't.
Well, so one of the ideas is that it's actually future generation humans that have become so enlightened that we've found the ability to take our consciousness and put it into a different vessel ourselves. Kind of like with like Stargate, where you have that freaking bed or whatever where you lay in it and you can, like, you know, transfer life through it or whatever. So you can like heal it, take it, you know, whatever you need to. Like it's an all-in-one, you know, like the freaking in Fifth Element where they can recreate the entire being just from the DNA structure.
Yeah.
And that's when they make, you know, Lilu multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, is like, what if we are just data and we're just being, but so really what it comes down to is like, all right, so this is how they're describing.
But if we only understand like 3% of our DNA.
Well, so the further point for me is if we're at this place where like they're not even saying that it has to be a computer simulation. This is just more or less the most logical and rational way to express how everything kind of coincides and why the math as it is works out the way it does. You know, the way that there has to be this level of precision for all of these different things to actually line up for this, you know, perception, as we want to call it, to be actually, you know, in existence.
Yeah,
So,
the 0.99999 like 14 times.
Well, yeah, and that's that thing, is like, it's not the fact that they're saying that it is definite. It's just another way to express what this this reality is, or, you know, what this existence is for all of us as we coexist with one another.
It just seems to me like it's all teetering on a very fragile, you know, pinpoint when you think about it that way.
Well,
like all held together by motion and all moving separately in a way.
With the idea that we are this consciousness and we're in a computer system, I think it begs the question of two possible reasons as to why. Either it's us in the future having our consciousness be able to be in machines and being able to explore and be a part of it and actually just exist in this realm, because that's the way it works, so that we all could literally live forever. You know, we as a society have figured this out, so we all just kind of like, bing, let's do it. And we literally turn ourselves into the Matrix, but not because it's like the machines are taking over. It's just because like, we're like, hey, this is a good idea. What's up?
In 2015, there was a startup company who was actually trying to get started in transferring your consciousness into an artificial body so you can live forever.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
There's been movies and shows made about this. It's no longer science fiction, huh?
Yeah,
but is it? I mean, how does that? Can you? I don't. That's not a. I don't really know.
Easy there, Uncle Buck.
Is it going to be like a bunch of like electronic zombies and shit, or? I mean, is it really you anymore? Is it?
Well, so think about it. If we can believe that consciousness is its own thing, so my consciousness is who I really am. If that doesn't exist on all of those planes because it's just a consciousness, it's an idea, it's an existence, it doesn't belong to space or time or anything else. It can attach itself freely, meaning that, you know, I mean, like we see it with like the idea of possession, where anything can take on the energy of something. So it can be a doll, a person, you know, a picture, a car, like.
I mean, anything is possible. I really like what was the name of the movie we were talking about earlier? The guy his whole family basically died in his car accident, and he was driving, and he was the only one that lived, and he ended up.
Replicas. Replicas, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Some of the concepts they went into that movie, it was like really trippy. You know, because you're really discussing the same kind of thing. Like, what is this thing you call me? What is this? Like, can you just move that from place to place? Stop making weird faces at me. It freaks me out. And they tried this one attempt, and they took, I think it was somebody who volunteered, who was like military or something, and he had suffered a really bad accident, and he was dying at the time, and they pulled his consciousness out and put it in a humanoid-like robot. And because it didn't have full sense of physical self, he automatically freaked out and like tore his own face apart and beat the crap out of himself until he malfunctioned.
Well, they pulled the plug.
Like, it was just like, wow. So I mean, I don't know. Would that work?
I thought that was a really interesting point.
Would that work? I mean, would you just go mad? Would there be a soul there at all? Or would it just be kind of like ones and zeros? Like, this is a somewhat representation of what, you know, this guy would be like.
Well, so it says that it takes your brain and it cryogenically freezes it, and then it uses your brain wavelengths to, like, essentially with artificial intelligence and nanotechnology, it stores your conversational styles, behavioral patterns.
But we've proven with what is it called, plasticity or whatever it's called. There's this new term within neuropsychology, neurophysics, whatever you call it, neuroscience, you know, called brain plasticity. So like really all you're doing is taking a snapshot of the brain at the time of death, and you're copying that. That's not the same thing as something with a soul. Correct? I mean, it's like it's like programming, a JD, frozen with like your little idiosyncrasies and whatever you do now and say now. But I mean, as you live your life, you're not that same person. Like your brain changes. Every time you do something new, you create new pathways. So is it really the same? What are you copying? You're not copying a soul. You're copying a snapshot of a physical brain. So if we've already proven that man's mind exists beyond his brain, then what are we really doing here?
That's more to the point of
if you move that brain to another, android, I guess you'd call it,
so that's more to the point of why we are in a simulation, because our consciousness is still, so like we are what we were, say like a couple 100 million years ago or something, or even thousands of years ago. And we've all, as a society, have taken our consciousness and like slowly put ourselves into this computer world. And this is now where we exist so that we can live forever.
Well, I was just saying that it's a different way of describing. It's a technological way of describing what has been described by what has been described by many Eastern cultures for thousands of years. It's really disturbing when you look at me like that. Don't look at me with that tone of voice. Don't do that. Anyway.
Middle East, come on. You can do it, buddy. Come on.
Can't do it, man.
From Middle East, come on.
You're messing with me.
No, I want to hear this. This is real. I want to know.
You want to be the derailer? Go ahead.
No. Inquiring minds want to know.
No, you know
Talk
what?
Talk to me.
I'm done. I'm done with you.
It's not that easy. We know this. You can't quit me. You need me. I'm nothing without you. Don't leave me.
I'm speechless.
Wow, but sometimes that happens. And then other times you just like don't stop talking.
Oh, I see.
Which, I mean, I love those moments. They crack me up. Because they're like more times than not, it's like you say, I'm done. That's all I got to say. That's it. I'm sorry. I've hijacked the mic long enough.
I let you get in 6 words and then I jump back on.
Sometimes not even like I just, I get like 1 or 2 mouth sounds before I'm about to like make any kind of a semblance of like a rebuttal or to add to it, anything like just like, no. And you just right back at it.
I just walk all over you.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. That has happened more than a few times. I think they're funny. I find them comical. Well, because to me, it's like, those are like one of them things where it's like, you just got to get it out. Like, all right, cool. I get it. Like you got to, you want to vent, you want to run off for a hot minute. Like by all means, bro. Like
whatever. Sometimes that's with me. Whatever comes out when it's coming out.
This is a safe space. We're, all accepting, all appreciative, like all inclusive. We love, we give, we care. It's a beautiful thing here, man.
We do. I'm trying to think of a song to sing right now. I'm feeling.
God gave rock and roll to you. Put it in your soul for.
Yeah, do that.
It's in Bill and Ted's, man. Come on. I got to.
But this is not the greatest song in the world.
This is just a tribute. I get that. I really do get that.
So, a needle pulling thread.
Dude, why? No. You can't do the layup with the assist. You either do the assist or the layup. Like you don't like throw the ball to yourself and then like slam dunk it. That's not how this works.
That's how it works in the now.
Stay in your lane.
You can't do both. What are you, schizophrenic? What are you?
Who's schizophrenic?
Multiple personality disorder? Having a conversation with yourself?
So dissociative disorder.
Dissociative disorder. Whatever.
66 times in the head, apparently.
In the head.
Maybe that's why we get along so well, is because we both cracked our craniums enough that we don't remember stuff. I swear I'm not as bad as you, though. I remember, at least.
You remember what?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
what
maybe I hit myself more times than I'm aware, and I just don't remember them now.
You just think you remember. What do you remember?
I remember a few times like cracking my cranium pretty good.
You don't know nothing.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
ain't a near nada.
Like, I don't believe I've ever been concussed. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 times. I mean, I don't know, but I'm not a doctor, you know? Well, because like one time I was like upside down because I did half a backflip. So I was like on my bike and I went off this weak ass ramp where there was like a plank of wood, you know, like a 2x6 with a couple of bricks. And, you know, I just kind of popped a wheelie on the jump and did half a backflip, landed on my skull and like rolled off. I just remember getting up and like rolling to my dude and just be like, am I bleeding? Is there blood? They're like, well, I mean, it's kind of red. I was like, but is it blood? They're like, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I was like, screw it, I'm going again. And like literally like hopped on my bike and like went to go off the jump again. So, I mean, that's all I was like, dude, I've cracked my head a few times.
We do like, crazy things, don't we?
I mean, that was just, you know. And again, these are the ones that I remember though.
I'm just remembering that feeling. Like I can, you know, especially it's like burned into your memory when it's like the last thing you remember before you wake up again. You know, that feeling of like your head bouncing off of some kind of surface.
See, I
don't recall any of that.
No, I've never
etched into my memory.
I've never had this experience.
Gonna make hand signals at me from over there. Yeah, this is not baseball. What do you? That's inappropriate.
It's like from the freaking monkey. Every which way but loose. What was the orangutan's name?
Which?
You don't remember that with the Clint Eastwood, the orangutan, any which way but loose?
No, sorry.
Oh, what?
Right now. Sorry.
Oh man, Clyde.
Was it Clyde?
Yeah, Clyde the orangutan. Yeah, he just like he'd always go around.
That's
like
right. Wait, wasn't that a reference from?
Well,
I'm trying to think of the zombie movie. Shaun of the Dead, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, where he's yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, where Nick Frost does that. Like probably, I would assume so. I feel like I mean,
I feel like he mentioned that. Yeah.
I've always thought that that's what it was. I don't really care. I mean, where are we at anyways?
What had happened was,
dude, were we
was talking about consciousness.
Oh, of course we were.
Putting yourself into a robot. And I was like, no, you can't do that because there's a spirit. You're not moving the spirit. You're just moving the brain, or you're moving a copy of the brain. And and that's not good. And then what happened after that, I can't remember because we just got dislodged.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, so why can't that be like, why can't your consciousness be data or information? Like, why can't it be a collective of like all of that? And it can just exist as, you know, because it's connected to it. So why can't it transfer on what we could describe as data as opposed to a physical structure? Because just like DNA, just like, you know.
What makes it any different from an actual person walking and talking?
Well, because if
physical person, with flesh and bone.
If our knowledge or consciousness, if our being has within it its own, you know, program or set of information so that no matter what we interact with, we automatically generate this outcome or an outcome of this reality. You know, why can't we as our own entity possess that individual DNA, as it were, or that information?
Well, what if your life, here's a concept. So,
what if your dope was on fire?
It was the way I said that, wasn't it?
It was. But yeah, so what if your consciousness, go ahead.
Well, yeah, what if your consciousness of, you know, you as you are right now is more a part of this body, like that half of it that's basically it's memories of happy times, sad times, mistakes, successes. That's what you consider you. That's kind of what forms how your temperament is, how your personality is, how you face the world around you is based on how you adjust and manipulate around the circumstances that life is giving you.
So that's why I'm like,
what if that's actually attached to your physical body? And if you're taking it out, what is you?
So here's that's my thing is like, all right, so what if as a consciousness we are just this collection of like data or information, so it's like our temperament, what we believe, like all these things to what it is that makes us no matter what. Because even if I was a dog right now, I would still have this like belief system. It'd be under the construct of being a dog now at this point because I'd be modified.
You obviously wouldn't think that deep. I don't think you would. I mean,
but why wouldn't you, or why couldn't you? You know what I mean?
I think I broke it down to more, it would feel more like a feeling of full connectivity without necessarily, because what we think of consciousness is conscious personal identity. And what I'm saying is, what if your personal identity is attached to your physical body?
Well, so this is where I think the idea that if we are this conscious information, right? So if we are just this data that is consciousness that is here on this earth or in this realm, so whether we're a tree or an insect or a human being or a whale, or we are all of this earth, even though we are a consciousness. So in order for our consciousness to exist the way it does in this constraint, it has to attach itself. It has to be grounded, so it's almost like if we are of the heavens, in a sense, this, astral projection or this being of energy and entity that now needs to have a physical home, we would have to ground ourselves to like, earth or something of that nature. So we could have that existence, which then gives us like time and space.
It has to split itself. And that's the age old, adage that, what we see as separation from each other. That's the illusion. That we are all consistent with each other. You are an extension of me, and I am an extension of you. And of everyone else. That we're all the same vibration. Truly, we're all within the same vibratory range. We're all sharing the same energy. We're all sprouting seeds from Mother Earth,
This is why I really like the idea that we're in a simulation and like all of this only exists.
But do you see what I'm saying, though? That it's just another way of wording it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Like it's an electronic way of visualizing the same thing.
So that goes back to my statement where I was expressing where these very intelligent individuals that are saying that this is a hologram or a simulation, that we're inside of a computer program. They're not saying that this is actual. What they're saying is that there's a high probability, meaning that even if that was true, this is, just another belief system or another way to express what our reality or our existence is.
I mean, I think the trippier thing is coming to the realization that this is a big experience you just wanted to have so that you could have something. That in the framework of the pleroma, the perfection, the arena of all that is real and good is something intangible. But to come out of that came this world that we know. In order to know himself, basically God had to separate himself from everything else. He had to split himself. And that's the creation of man. And that there was no difference between you and I because of that. That all of that is an illusion. That's the illusion. That there is separateness at all.
Well, yeah, because without one, there isn't the other, and so on and so forth. Like I was having this realization earlier where there, for any singularity to exist, there has to be the idea or the ability for it to not exist, as well as like have a place of like, if it was more than just existing, like, so instead of something being this action at this point in time, it's like it can either not happen or it can happen or it can happen even worse. So it's like I can either like stay alive, I can die, or I can like live even further. So there's always a place of inside, outside. But in order for me to be in the place to either be dead or not dead, like I still have to have those. So in order for existence to be, there has to be death and there has to be like birth. So you have to have like a start and a finish. And it doesn't have to be a start and a finish in that order. There just has to be two additional components that are opposites for that singularity to exist in between them.
Deep stuff, man.
Well, but isn't that true though?
Yeah.
So with that, it's like for every existence, there are two alternates of that it's actually creating that singularity. But that singularity would then also be an opposite of another one to create an additional singularity within that one. And that gets all of those things to actually be connected because they have to be. And that's where coming in with being consciousness as like data or information, we're all connected because in order for us to have this connection, in order for us to exist, we have to be a part of this construct, which is to be interpreted from data into what we perceive as reality.
Yeah.
Nobody? Nothing? Am I alone on this one?
No, I just, I gotta take a minute to think about all that. That was...
Dude, tell me about it, right?
Absorb it.
Well, so like I'm having this conversation with our dude about it. And like, I just went, of course, like into straight research mode because I've already had this relative idea of the existence in this sense, even more so the black hole idea where I was talking about where it's like a data point, like a fiber optic input. So if we're inside of like, what was that movie, Osmosis Jones, when they were inside the body and they can go to all the different places and like sneak over this way and that way and stuff. And like, why can't our existence be like that where we're inside this realm where, things as like black holes would be just major ports of information or plugins so that we're basically inside this city or this huge unknown depths of universe up until these points where like data interjects or disappears or we can't quite tell what it is or where it goes. Like why can't that be, a plug into another spot inside the computer? Like why can't it be just in, and why can't we still already be our own consciousnesses that were existing?
I feel like some of these things were also, and I want to go back and watch this at some point, but I feel like a lot of these things were covered in the Space Odyssey. 2001 and was it 2001 and 2010?
Correct.
Yeah, which I never read. I should probably read those and then go back and watch
2, them. The Search for More Money. Sorry.
Well, no, but and a lot of it was visual in nature that I remember, but the whole breakdown of the concept of time happened right before your eyes while you watched what was his name that he experienced going through the, whatever you would call it, the monolith, I guess was what they called it.
Yeah. It could be like a portal or time warp,
but like
wormhole.
It's like you see every aspect of him throughout time all converging on the same place. And it was like this really weird, trippy scene.
Okay. So now think about this.
As a boy sees himself on his deathbed.
So think about this. When on break we were watching that, or before we started, that thing I showed you from Alien Code, where the guy was the other being was talking about where we don't understand time and space or the idea of decision because we live in a singularity of an instant moment.
The now.
Yeah, he's like, at all times, he's like, so we know all things at all times, and it's just there. So we don't understand causality or choice because we already understand that this happened because that happened because of this. So you can literally see it in all dimensions. So there's no point in trying to make a choice or understand it because there is none. You already know everything.
Oh, that
already
was what
is
the
everything.
Other beings thought?
Well, that was a part of it.
What's the point of it all?
Well, yeah, so in their world, they don't know what causality is because they don't see it as this happened and then that happened because of it. They just see it as all of those are possibilities. So they see it as like string theory in a sense where every single one of those is its own perception. like every single one.
That's trippy, man. That's not a concept that's easy to imagine.
Well, right. Well, that's why. So when he's like
the connectitude,
the connectitude,
connectitude.
You're right, because it's expeditionary.
It is expeditionary. It was a connectitude, a connectivity of connectitudes.
So that's why, to me, the thing that can like shows being able to be connected supports the idea that more likely we are in that sense, is because we really are interconnected in that. You know, there is this invisible web of whatever you want to call it that literally intertwines all of us, whether it's like karma or chi, life force, you know, I mean, universe juice, whatever, like, I don't give a crap. There's this power outside of us that we can't see or possibly comprehend because, you know, that's not what we're on. That's not what we think. That's not what our brain is allowed for, because we are sensory beings. It does alter how we're able to perceive things. So, you know, it does in fact limit us in our abilities to perceive greater. That's why a lot of, like, you know, like Tesla or Einstein and all that had to do lucid dreams. They had to be in this place of in between conscious and subconscious so that you can strip yourself of those constraints to be able to achieve or receive this greater information that's literally just out there, which to me, that's like, dude, so maybe the Akashic Records isn't like the Akashic Records. Maybe it's just all information, and now it's just, you can see it. You know, you've decoded the matrix, basically.
It sounds like an ego-killing practice, though. I think that was part of it, was just kind of...
Well, yeah, because what was the other guy's name? What was the dude that went out into the forest?
Oh,
Man, the periodic table was like the snake and all that stuff. He's like
one of my favorites, and I can't think of his damn name.
Yeah, because I button hooked you.
You did. You totally button hooked me.
Yeah, but all those guys, but you know, they would talk about like stripping themselves. I mean, so many of the freaking writers have done it, where they're like, you know, I'm just going to go out into the wilderness and just be, and just find a way to be a part of that flow and just be in that existence and just
Walden,
be.
Wasn't that Walden did that?
Dude, so many of them did, man. Are you kidding me?
Like all that Dead Poet Society.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like Longfellow, all that stuff, dude.
You're into nature, man. But no, I mean, just...
Is this your bush? Are you king of the forest? I had to do it. Sorry. Yeah, but dude, seriously, so think
Walter
about
Russell. That was
there. Yeah, Walter Russell. Walter that's Russell. The guy.
Yeah, he was the one at like, what was it? I forget. Was it age 13 maybe? When he had his first mystical experience, and then he decided that school just wasn't his thing because they weren't really going to be able to teach him anything.
Yeah, right.
And he went on to make, you know, millions of dollars, has a huge estate still in a school in his name. Can't remember the name of the place now. But yeah, they have the
science place.
Yeah, he has a University of Science and Technology.
Yeah, yeah. The South Harmon Institute of Technology. I was...
Nice.
Oh, yeah, dude. Have we ever quoted accepted? I think that's the first time, bro. What's up?
Yay.
Yeah, I know. It's the first time for everything. We got to diversify, right? We all are inclusive here. All inclusive, man. We love everybody. We want to quote everybody, especially if it's funny.
You're funny, man.
Well, and so I like going on this idea of we're information and we can project in at this point, right? We can cross other programs or like alter frequencies, if you want to call it that, so that you can resonate on a different level, right?
I mean, I don't know. Like, part of me like totally wants to believe all this stuff, and then there's another part of me that goes, "Is this just like another movement, like the flat earthers and the, you know?" Yes, I'm always picking on the flat earthers.
Oh, I guess that's better than Canada.
That's my new Canada.
It's my new Canada. Oh, Jesus. So like Canada's in reserve, so they're not even good enough to be made fun of anymore right now. Is that what you're saying? Oh, I'm sorry, Canada. I love you, Canada. Canada's amazing. I've been there so many times. It's a beautiful country.
Never pick on anybody.
Well, so here's the thing, though, is like, so if if you at that place, because we're under this perception, to me now, I'm like, what does it matter? So now I'm not going to be as like constrained by things because, you know, it just doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't. Sorry. Meatballs.
Well, all the things that are important in this world are just, well, not matter.
There are far greater things that have importance than perception of what material things are in this world. The true things that matter, that are to be the greatest gift, are truly intangible. They cannot be touched or smelled or seen or heard. They are the most beautiful things that will ever be. Like, that is the purest thing ever.
Oh, and in some of the oldest texts, the most important thing that was always said was, and as far back as you can go. I mean, what is it? Nosce te ipsum, know thyself.
Right?
That's tantamount, man. You can't know nothing else without knowing yourself. Why are you peeking around at me like that? It makes me real nervous.
Because I'm trying to get you to like be all up in it. Get down on it.
I'm good.
Get down on it.
Rocking on the mic.
Get on the mic.
How we doing,
get
JD?
on the mic. Get on the mic. Get on the mic. Right?
We're good.
We're good.
I'm just enjoying this serenade going on.
What does that mean? What's going?
Your
what happening?
Musical interlude.
Oh, because I'm so funky.
Funky fresh.
I'm sorry.
Everybody.
We want easy. Sorry.
Easy.
Dude, we're like all over the place on our quest tonight. So anywho, back to this whole idea of
easy.
Well, so think about this. Like, all right, what's the 27 Club, right?
What about it?
What if they realize that this really is just a universe that is a projection of, you know, like we're in a program and they just like, you know what, I'm going to go to a different program in the same computer because we are like, so we
or
are
they
just,
actually OD'd or died at a plane crash or.
Well, that's just what it got described as because it was unexplainable. It was like, you know, when the Mayans disappeared.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there was cultural differences and then there was deforestation and.
No, like they stacked all their elements on top of each other. So they just zipped into the void of nothingness. It was beautiful and lovely to see, man.
Well, some would also explain that as like alien abduction. There's a couple of movies that are about that.
Oh man, we just shined a flashlight down. They disappeared. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. Which, you know what, dude? I told you I finally watched Living in Oblivion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you watched Living in Oblivion yet?
Did you watch it again though?
No, I have not.
I did. I watched it the other day.
Yeah, we're all gonna have to because like, dude, that's what's the movie Pi? Did you ever see Pi?
Yeah, we don't have time today to talk about that.
Well, I know, but yeah, the black and white movie Pi.
Pi.
Yeah, Pi. It's literally called Pi. It's the black and white movie.
This one.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Was this like the Alfred Hitchcock series?
It's
like Birds. There was another one, Pi.
So it kind of goes to the idea of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, where you have
the galaxy,
or to the galaxy, yeah, where you ask the all-knowing computer, you know, what is all of existence, and it's like 42.
Yeah, that was Douglas Adams. Yeah,
right. So it's kind of like along that lines.
All right.
Where everything can be expressed down to a single equation,
like pi.
Or yeah.
So the answer to life and everything is pi.
Well, so just like I was saying before, where the universe being the Big Bang, where it started from nothing, if the great programmer wrote the perfect program that in and of itself decodes to write all the other programs because they write themselves because of like natural selection.
But how can we do any of that if we're using the wrong math? Terrence Howard. How can we do any of that if we're not taking him? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're not doing it. If we live inside of a computer, the computer's doing it. We're just being a part of that existence.
Oh, so you can't get it wrong.
Well, we're not getting it wrong. We're not even a part of it.
When you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, like
on
it's
that
not
different dimension because you're on this one.
That's not our construct. I mean, that's not us. That's a construct. It's what we're being put into.
You're a construct.
Sometimes I feel like that.
Sometimes I feel like a nut.
Dude, sometimes I feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
No, always. I feel like a nut. I'm a little kooky.
Cookie?
I'm different.
Did you say cookies?
Unique.
Unique?
Do you smell muffins? I smell muffins.
Oh, that's close enough to the other voice. It makes me laugh too.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. No, you're not winding up the monkey.
I can't do it.
We're almost to that point here.
It's like me trying to do a Tommy gun sound. It just doesn't work.
Dude, you trying to do any sound does not work. You're like that guy who thinks he can beatbox and you really can't.
I can't.
No, you cannot. You're like boom, chicka boo, boom, boom, chicka boo. You're like no,
not
that's
even on
not.
bourbon. It doesn't.
That's not even you on bourbon. You on bourbon would be even worse. That would be like chicka boo. Mic drop.
Fuck you, man.
Hey, I'm just speaking the truth, bro. I'm just speaking the truth.
Yeah, well, you speak it somewhere else.
You speak it so.
Wait, never mind. You're allowed to speak it here.
Well, yeah. I mean, this
Speak
is
your truth. What is truth?
well, it's so right to me, and that's why I love this whole idea that like we're a hologram or this thing that's a construct inside of a computer.
Truth, or is it a truth fact?
It's a little bit of both, I guess. I mean, why can't it be?
My truth isn't your truth, isn't. That's all I'm saying about that.
Dude, all of this is just perceptions or belief systems, man. It's like I never say what I believe is true. It's just what I think is.
You can't handle the truth.
Girl, you know it's true. Ooh,
The opposites that I have going on over here. One's serenading me old school style while the other one's telling me I can't handle the truth. I'm getting movie quoted and 90s pop music blasted.
Both ends.
I mean, that's the thing, man. That's I'm telling you for you. Which, yeah. So, hey, we're if you want to reach us, please email us at ity@directionsofmusic.org. Or Gemini @directionsofmusic.org or Philly D @directionsofmusic.org.
Directions in music. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an S in directions. But yeah, no, this is it's been a blast as always, Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
JD.
Fact checker extraordinaire. Yeah. As always, be good to yourself, be good to everyone else, fam.
Much love.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.